All right, hopefully you can hear me better. Shalom, shalom. Giving all honor, glory, and praises to the Heavenly Father above and the last one for us, which is the Holy Hebrew tongue. By saying, Call, Halalayim, by Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Ha, Rakakatas, Mama. Double honor to the elders, apostles of the great millstone who rule well and teach well. I want to give another double honor to my elder One of the Lion Stand Yasha on the campus well. Peace of blessings, sanitation, Salah Akim, Akwati, Mabanu, brothers, sisters, and children that believe in truth around the four corners of this earth. As you see, the title of this lesson is that, Babylon will reap divine retribution. All right, Babylon going into aka America. All right, and this is according to prophecy. All right, our Lord's return. He comes back. He's coming to put everything in its proper position. He's coming to put down all rule, power, and authority. All right, all that's going to be given to him. And that's why I want to start off with this first precept, man, for you, those of you who are listening, who's measuring the times, who's seeing what's going on right now, speaking on the things that's going on. We have pestilence being spread. You got the so-called hantavirus. You have wars, rumors of wars, Matthew 24:7. So, the Lord told us of everything that's happening right now. He told us, he warned us, he gave us the blueprint, told us how to get prepared, study, read, and believe and serve, trust, and worship him, all the way until the end. He that endured to the end, the same shall be saved. This is Jeremiah chapter 51. We'll start at verse 6, and it reads, Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off for her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. That her is talking about aka America. Okay, Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, bitter, wicked place of confusion. Okay, now that recompense is repayment, retribution, because Babylon have destroyed, have oppressed many nations, including, Judah and Jerusalem, man. They acted with violence, with pride, with cruelty, they defiled, the Lord's people. And ultimately, they exalt themselves against the Most High, you know. Like it reads in Jeremiah 50 and let me see, verse 29, it says, I'm gonna just read the whole, actually, let's go up to verse 28. It says, the voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babylon to declare in Zion the vengeance of the Lord our God, the vengeance of his temple. Okay. Call together the archers against Babylon, all you that bend the bow, camp against it round about, let none thereof escape, recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done, do unto her, for she have been proud against the Lord, against the Holy One of Israel. So you see right now who the leader of Babylon is, talking about blowing up all these different oil refineries and taking over this land, taking over that land, and just want to be on top, just want to dominate, just want to rule in wickedness, man. That's just all it is. But the Lord said he's going to repay that. All right, your unto you, Babylon. All right, divine judgment, recompense. This is verse, let's skip up to verse 22. It says, actually, let's go up to 21. Go up against the land of Miriathim, which is another name for Babylon, even against this, even against the inhabitants of a Pekod, which also is another name for Babylon. Waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord Yahweh by Shem Shai, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? All right, because the Lord is breaking this place down, man. He's the seed of confusion is being brought down. All right, it says, let's skip on down to 20. Or if we continue on, it says, I have, well, actually, yeah, let's continue on. It says, I have laid a snare for thee. All right, so the Lord has got this place in a trap, and America don't even realize it. The Lord have laid a snare for this place, man. All right, dealing with the midst of this war, World War III. All right, the least of the flocks shall draw them out. Okay. Uh, it says, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. All right, see all your inventions, all your plans to try to go against the Lord's will. I mean, Psalms 33:10, the Lord disappointed the devices of the crafty, man. You know, there's also one in Job. Psalms is one, the Lord make the counsel of the heathen of none effect. That's the point I'm trying to make. So, ultimately, America won't be able to get out of this. They won't be able to buy his way out. Won't be able to escape the judgment that's coming. And like he said, he will bring a recompense on Babylon. By raising up nations, man, to overthrow and destroy it. Beginning with stirring up the spirit of the kings of the Medes against Babylon. All right, Ezekiel 38. All right, dealing with Russia. Now, this is Jeremiah chapter 51. I'm gonna go back at start at verse 11. Actually, Salakia. I start at verse 7. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken her wine, therefore the nations are mad. All right, all the philosophy, all the foolishness, all the corruption, all that's part of that wine, man. You know. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, all the democracy. How for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. But this place can't be healed. It says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone to his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. All right, let's skip on down to verse 11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon. All right, so the Lord's, it says his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. All right, so foreign armies is gonna invade, surround, and basically capture and overthrow this city, man. So ultimately Babylon's gonna lose all these little warriors, so-called warriors, all this strength, and it's gonna become fearful, man. All this defenses and all that's gonna fail, man. The city is going to become a desolation. No longer a great power. You know, so recompense from the Lord, will come through military conquest, collapse of Babylon's power, exposure of his pride and violence, and then complete reversal of his former glory. All right, uh, shameful spewing, I believe, is what the Lord is pouring upon this place right now, upon his glory. Okay. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 47. I'm going to start at verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Right. It's no more, your power seat is about to get stripped away, man. It's no more thrones for you. All right. Sit in the dust. You about to be brought down to a lower state. All right. So, Jeremiah 51. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shah. Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about. All right, so those fanners are ultimately enemies, man. All right, they're going to empty her land. They're going to strip this place bare of all its wealth, resources. People will either flee or die in this place, man. Well, you can run all you want, but you're not going to get nowhere, because if you're not of the Lord's elect, if you're not of, it's 144,000, Revelation 7, or that 1/3 remnant out of the men, women, and children, it's over. You know what I mean? Ain't no salvation, So it's best now to seek the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he's near, do the things that are pleasing unto him so you can, receive, so you can stand before him and he can look at you and say, well done, my good and faithful servant, you know, make you ruler of all that you have, you know. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. All right. So, like I said, in the day of trouble, so which goes into, ultimate Jacob's trouble, they should be against her round about. All right. So ain't no escape, no allies, no allies gonna be able to save this place. No secure defense. Okay. So verse 2, it says, and I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about, against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself in his brigadine, or brigidine, which is, armor. It says, uh, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. All right, so her young men, that military strength, the next generation, the power and future of this place. All right, and the host is the army or military forces, man. So let's go to the book of Acts chapter 2, and I'm gonna start at verse 17. It says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, it shall come to pass in the last days, saith Yahweh Bashem Shai, I will pardon those days of my spirit. I will pour out, let me start over from the top. And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith Yahweh Bashem Shai, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. And I will show wonders in heaven above and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and notable day of the Lord come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. See, that's why the name is very important. All right. In order for you to get salvation. Now let's go to Joel chapter 2. Bear me 1 second. These pages. Salakia. Let's see if I can. Let me do this actually. All right, it is in. All right, boom. Book of Joel, chapter 2. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. All right. Let, let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness. As the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. It says, verse 3, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. That's those nuclear missiles. All right. It says the land is as the Garden of Eden before them, right? Very fruitful. All right. And behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. All right. So afterwards, place gonna be barren. All right. Like I say, spirit of devils, every unclean and foul bird in the book of Revelations. Um, yeah. This is the habitation of devils, man. But we're looking for a new earth and a new kingdom where indwelling righteousness. All right. And we know, in order for that to take place, wickedness gotta, can't be no more of this wickedness out here. The Lord has to judge this place. So this is Isaiah chapter 24. I'm gonna start at verse 17. It says, fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee, O inhabitant of the earth. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. All right, so he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, meaning you're unable to avoid God's judgment. All right, how about Shema Shai's judgment? All right, you're gonna run into martial law, you're gonna run into famine, you're gonna run into war, you're gonna run into civil unrest, economic collapse, divine plagues. You're gonna survive one catastrophe, or how you said, catastrophe, only to encounter another, man. And that's also Amos 5:19. Okay, so let's go here to Isaiah 24, and let's start at verse 19. It says, the earth is utterly broken down, the earth is clean dissolved, the earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And that's ultimately, verse 21. And it shall come to pass in that day, that the Lord shall punish the hosts of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. All right. So, and that's all that's coming to this place. It's judgment, man. This place is so wicked, and her sins have reached up unto the heavens, man. You got 2/3 that need to be reborn again, and then you got these other nations that's, let's start with Esau, Edom, that just got to go into slavery, got to go into captivity. He that lead them in captivity should go into captivity. That's Revelation 13, 10. So if I'm not mistaken, but it's in the 13th chapter. But 10. So, and then you're gonna have the Lord establish his kingdom right here on planet Earth. Once he get rid of the wicked. All right, beginning with Esau, Edom. So, Lord willing, Yahweh Tazah, there's like a spiritual hydration. Yahweh Tazah, this video serves its purpose. Till the next time, Shalom.